Hello and welcome to this new video. Today we are going to talk about bots. What are they? What do they do? And why should you care? Coming up. We have a new joint cybersecurity advisory from the FBI, Netherlands, and Canada that explain what they found when they got their hands on an AI-enabled bot farm from RT, so the Russian state media, that was operating on X, so X, formerly Twitter. So we're going to be able to talk about what they found out and how it works. Of course, why should we care? And we're going to talk about all of that, and even at the end, finding a fake account. So looking at how we can find a fake account, how we can find a bot, and what signs make it so that we know that it's a bot. So let's start by, how does it work? Well, the program that was running on the server was called Meliorator. Now, Meliorator is made of two parts. There's Brigadier, which is the front end. There's Terras, which is the back end. We don't really care about that. What we care is the inner working of it. So inside of those programs, we have what we call souls. Now, souls are the identity of the bot. Now, what's interesting about souls is that they have a bunch of information. So they're going to have the age, the nationality, the political leanings, who they love, who they hate, all of that made so that the AI prompt, so that the message that those bots will produce would all be different from one bot to another. So it makes it as natural as possible because, of course, if all the bots would have exactly the same prompt and exactly the same answer for everything, it would be really weird and not natural. But because they have those souls, they can have individualized prompt for everything. So they have a big identity, a big soul for each bot, and on those souls you can apply thoughts. Now, thoughts are action of a group of bots. So what you can do is you can say, okay, I want you to repost that, or I want you to make a post about this new thing, or I want you to like this post. So thoughts are really just action applied to a group. So with those tools, they were able to do bots that would boost each other and also real account to be as natural as possible, because of course if they would only boost each other, if they would only boost bot, it would be really easy to find one bot and then ban all of the others. But the bots really were made to try to look as real as possible, so they would boost real account, boost fake account to blend in. Now, we need to understand that the way that it works, there's really always a human behind the AI, but the human controls a bunch of AI at the time. So the human is behind and he really makes post. So he will, let's say, okay, we make a post about the new prisoner swap that happened, apply this to all of the bots, and all of the bots make their post. So it's always a human that will trigger those behaviors. So with those tools, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to achieve is a couple of things. Now, the first thing that they want to do is to try to make as much divisive post as possible. Now, when I say divisive, I'm not talking about only pushing one side or one person. Russia doesn't really care who is president. Russia cares about the American people or the Canadian people or whatever people you're talking to. In this video, I will act as if I'm American because, of course, the election are right around the corner and we're pretty much in them. And even if I'm Canadian, I don't care. I use my North American card to pass off as an American right now. So, yes, okay, let's go on. So, the goal of Russia is divisiveness. That divisiveness has one goal, and it's to stifle as much as possible government. Because, of course, we are in republics or in democracies or whatever you call your democratic process. But at the end of the day, if your people disagree on everything, well, there's nothing that will be passed, and when no laws are passed and when no decision are made by any branch of your government, well, nothing happens. And when nothing happens, well, who can do things that push their agendas? Who can extend their sphere of influence, that can mold the world like they want to? Well, it's big powers like Russia, like China. So, of course, Russia has a big vested interest in trying to divide as much as possible, at least the people that are inside NATO. So that's one thing that they do. Another thing that Russia wants is to push things that will help Russia, push thoughts that will help Russia. One big example with that would be anything linked to Russian-Ukraine war. A big example, we have the biolab theory, which, if you don't know about it, it's the theory that the Ukrainians have biolabs that are there to target ethnic Russians. It's bullshit, just so you know. Complete bullshit. It's been fact-checked 1,000 times. And of course, it's something that has been completely made up by RT to try to push this idea that it's not a good idea for NATO and for America to help Ukraine. So, of course, it helps Russia directly if people don't send money over to Ukraine, if our governments don't try to help Ukraine. So of course they're going to push that disinformation as much as possible. And if you're asking yourself, well, that's all online, why should we care, right? Why should we care about it? There's people that are, well, mainstream is a big word, but that are not mainstream, medium stream, I don't know how you could say this, but people like RFK Jr. that will just buy into those conspiracy theory because they think that it's popular, they saw it on the internet, so of course it must be popular if it's pushed by a bunch of bots, but they don't know that it's a bunch of bots anyway. So you have people like RFK Jr. who will go on TV and will say that it's because of the biolab and the biolab have been proven and all of that, even if it's complete bullshit.
What are called life scientists, but they're actually death scientists, who are now employed full-time in developing, microbes that can be used to kill people.
Of course, the reason why they do this is really only because they want to stop us from helping their enemies, or so that we don't take their place in the geopolitical landscape. So of course, if we help a country and it's not Russia that helps them, we have the power, we have the leverage over them, and Russia doesn't. So that's why Russia would want us to not make any decision on the world stage, so that we're completely useless and they have more power. So it's not because Russian or are Satanist or some crazy thing. We really need to divide those things here, because everything I'm saying doesn't make anyone Russian a bad person. It's their state that does the bad thing, and, well, the state will act in the interest of the state itself, so it's not something that should be surprising for any of us. Let's go into the next step, which is spot a fake account. Now, how can we spot a fake account? One really good way, if you don't already have one account that you want to check, is to go under any politician and try to find, well, any post that they do, because, in the US at least, any politician that says anything is cause for war in the comments, so the bots go at 100% trying to spread their disinformation there. Now, I went to Kamala Harris because, it's pretty obvious she's the Democratic nominee, so that's more than enough to have bot account on spam your things. So when we look, first of all, we go down, we try to see comments that are a little bit really rude, but of course, just a rude comment doesn't mean that it's a bot. Then we can check the name if it has numbers at the end. That's a big indicator, because bots, it's way easier to generate names with numbers at the end than generating an actual real new name that hasn't been used before. So that's one thing. The second thing that we can look at is the number of posts. Now, what we can do is to look when the account was made. If it was made between 2020 and today, there's more chance, of course, that it's a bot, but we can also divide the number of posts by the number of days since it's been open, and we can see that it's not really reasonable to post that much if it's not your daily job, if it's not your life. So our next process in our mind should be, well, it may be their job. Maybe it's an account that does only that. So let's check if they have any other footprint on the internet. Let's see if there's anywhere else than X. I checked, they're nowhere else. So, okay, that person only has an X account, they have an exorbitant amount of posts, they post in a really fast fashion. So, that's weird. Now let's go into how the account is built. We have a no DM in the description. Now that's interesting because of course no DM can be just somebody that doesn't want to receive DM, but it can also be bots because bots don't want your DM. It's really hard for bots to make convincing answers in a repeated fashion. So if they have to answer all of your comments, it's way easier for the bot to get tripped. So of course, saying no DM and not answering any DM solves that problem. So that's why they say no DM in the description. And we can see also the AI generated account picture. That's another big tell. And another tell that we can see is going down in the image that were used in their latest post. We can see that sometimes there's 2 times the same image or there's 3 times the same image. Now, that's a big tell because the bot, when they send those thoughts, sometimes they will send the same image or an image to be slightly modified, and the image will be recycled in those posts. So that's another sign that it may be a bot. So all of those things together, none of those individually make it sure that it's a bot, but when all of those things are true, it becomes pretty obvious that it is one. Now, the big problem with that is that there's no real way to be able to tell and prove that one person is really a bot, because as soon as you call out one bot, well, the bot can be taken over by an agent that would make a way smarter answer. So that's something that actually happens, is that there will be people that will call out some bot and the bot will be taken over by a human, and that human will make a smarter answer, an answer that a bot wouldn't really think, and an answer that feels more realistic. So there's no real way to diffuse them, I don't know how to say it otherwise, but to point them out in an efficient manner. So that's how you know to spot a fake account, a bot account. So that's pretty much it for the video. Now I have a little bit more things to say that maybe goes a little bit into conspiracy territory. So if you don't like those, well, I'm not even going to talk about a conspiracy here. I'm just going to give you some fact and deal with it how you like. But yes, so that's all for the bot part of the video. Now let's talk about X. Let's talk about Twitter a little bit, because I find it really weird that we have, you probably know, but X before was called Twitter, and when it was Twitter, it was bought by Elon Musk, and when Elon Musk bought Twitter, he made a big deal about transparency and about all of those things, ended up cutting transparency completely out, so he made researchers, he made schools pay to get access to their API, he also stopped sharing the data about ban requests from countries. So before we can know, oh, okay, so Turkey tried to ban this account, or we have the US that tried to ban those accounts, how many accounts were banned and how many requests were rejected. So we could have access to that data before, but now we don't have access to that anymore. So we have from Elon, from Twitter, from X, less transparency, less moderation. Of course, when Elon took over, we remember we had those great picture of Elon with the sink in his hand, and everybody, well, being shown the door. So we know that he laid off a lot of people, and even if you think that most people in Twitter before were lazy, even if you think that, well, those people still had a job, and those people still did a little bit. And maybe that little bit was moderation, because right now we can see the feeling on Twitter isn't the same. The feeling isn't great. We can also see that there's a lot more bot. So I just really feel weird about the guy who champions everything AI, everything bots, and that says that he was going to do all those great things for transparency that end up buying one of the biggest social media on the planet, end up making it less transparent, that's also been proven that he's changed the algorithm so that it pushes his tweet, his X, I don't know how, his post, that would be the right way to say it. It pushes his post. That's why you always see Elon Musk's post, even if he doesn't fit at all with your media consumption. So you have this person that tries to push, of course, their ideology, their posts, their ideas through their own platform, and that's legally okay. But it feels a little bit weird, right? We have that guy that talked a big talk about transparency, and now there's bot everywhere. The Russian have a field day on their platform. It just feels weird, right? That's all that I have to say. Like I said, I don't have any smoking gun here. There's no big conspiracy. I don't like going into conspiracy things when we don't have any information about anything else. So I don't want to push any bad omen or bad intent on what Elon is doing or anything else that's going on X. I just find it weird, right? It's a normal thing to think that the guy dumped millions of dollars into an acquisition to do this with it. It just feels weird. So that's all. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that you maybe learned a little bit, at least how to spot a fake account. So that may have been useful. If you are there for my Linux videos and you managed to make it through this video is about bots, thank you for watching, and of course there will be much more videos about Linux. I think that I'm going to do file system next, to talk about ext4, BTRFS, and also probably the new thing with Ubuntu and the -03 optimization, but that's something else. If you didn't understand anything that I said, that's okay, it's going to be explained in the video. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed, and of course, take care.